I was born a champion's cub. Now I am the lord of the battlefield's lion. My name is Radon, son of the hero Radagon of the red hair, and Queen Renala of the full moon, a red-maned lion, born for battle. The world reveres me as General Starscourge, hailing me as the mightiest hero among the demigods. Yet who could know the crushing despair I bore behind this glory? Even I, the strongest, could not escape the shackles of fate. I was born during a time of union between the Erd Tree and the Moon, a peaceful and fleeting era. As the eldest son of a hero and the Carrion royal family, I inherited my father's fiery red hair. Though my father, Radagon, had once detested red hair, deeming it a curse from the giants, I wore it with pride, viewing it as a symbol of heroism. Compared to my mother Renala, who was dedicated to exploring the mysteries of the cosmos, I as a child yearned more for heroes like my father Radagon and the first Elden Lord Godfrey. Their valiant deeds captivated my heart, leading armies to slay foes and conquer lands. That was the true calling of a warrior. That was the supreme glory we ought to pursue. I longed to become a hero like them, longed to prove my worth on the battlefield. Thus, I diligently honed my martial arts, perfecting my skills in swordsmanship and archery. At the same time, I emulated the formidable image of Godfrey and his loyal regent, Sirosh the Beast, forging for myself a suit of lion armor to express my respect for the Elden Lord and the Golden Dynasty. But the peaceful life was soon shattered. Queen Marika, the Eternal of the Golden Order, exiled the first Elden Lord Godfrey and his warriors, dispatching them to continue their campaigns beyond the lands between. It was then that my father Radagon also left my mother, returning to the Golden Dynasty to become Queen Marika's second husband, and thus the new Elden Lord. My mother, Renala, could not accept my father's departure. She secluded herself in the Grand Library, relying on the amber egg my father had left her, indulging in the forbidden arts of unbeckoned birth. The glory of the Carrion royal family seemed to be cast in shadow at that moment too. And I, as Radagon's scion, was elevated to demigod status when my father became Elden Lord, receiving the blessing of Queen Marika and the Erd Tree. Thereafter I was appointed by the Golden Dynasty as the Lord and General of Caelid. Upon the lands of Caelid I established my Redmane Castle. Concurrently, I gained a following of valiant warriors who revered strength and honor, forming the disciplined Redmane Legion, an army with no room for cowards. With Caelid as my foundation, I guarded the Order of the Golden Law. Among all my cherished possessions, there was a special companion, my warhorse, Leonard. He was no extraordinary spirit steed, merely a scrawny little pony. As the power of the blessing grew within me, my physique became increasingly imposing. Leonard's frail body gradually found it difficult to bear my weight. I was unwilling to forsake my loyal companion for this reason. A hero might lose his weapon, but he must never abandon a comrade with whom he has fought side by side, even if it is just an ordinary pony. I had heard that in Celia, town of sorcery east of Caelid, lay hidden the ancient magic of manipulating gravity. It was a town shrouded in mystery, its magical traditions said to be inextricably linked to the long-buried eternal city of Nokron. I resolutely journeyed to Celia, and there studied under an alabaster lord with skin like stone, learning the secrets of gravity sorcery. Legend told that the Alabaster Lords were an ancient race born when a primeval meteor fell, innately able to perceive and command gravitational forces. The process of learning was arduous and protracted. Those profound and abstruse gravity sorceries were entirely different from the martial skills I knew. But the promise I held in my heart for little Leonard transformed into boundless motivation. During this time, I also met a wandering misbegotten named Gaius, who was also studying gravity sorcery under the Alabaster Lord. Between us, there was competition, but also a friendship of mutual admiration. We delved into our studies together, progressed together, and spurred each other on in our mastery of gravity. Finally, after long study, I successfully mastered gravity sorcery. I no longer had to worry about crushing my beloved warhorse Leonard. He could once again fight alongside me. Perhaps because gravity sorcery originated from that ancient starry sky, I gradually began to perceive the threat from the stars. These meteorites, arriving in the lands between from the deep cosmos, were not merely cold celestial bodies, but also the fates and emissaries of powerful entities, such as those alien life forms, the falling star beasts, and Estelle, natural born of the void. To protect Celia, which was under my rule, from the threat of falling stars, and also to uphold the order of the Golden Law, I would not permit any external power to interfere with the destiny of the lands between. I carved gravity sigils upon my great swords, transforming them into the shield of Celia, and single-handedly declared war upon the stars. Master, I thank you for your tutelage. For now, I can challenge the stars. This was my promise to my Alabaster Lord mentor, and also a declaration of my own strength. By virtue of gravity sorcery, I shattered, one by one, those falling stars that portended ill fate. This valor of mine awed the entire lands between. From then on, the world revered me as General Star Scourge. With my strength alone, I sealed the trajectories of the stars, but in doing so, I also brought to a standstill certain destinies, intimately linked with the celestial movements. Among these was the fate of my sister, Luna Princess Rani. Her clandestine plans were forced to a halt by my star-scourging deed. At the time, I was unaware of this, nor had I foreseen that this seemingly glorious victory would lay the groundwork for the future night of the Black Knives and the Shattering, and would also bring shackles upon myself. After my famed sword, more and more warriors flocked to my banner. Among them, Knight Jaren, the Witch Hunter, was my most trusted friend. Jaren was not my subordinate. He was originally a guest of the Carrion royal family, a warrior who roamed the lands, making it his duty to hunt down mages who had lost control. We found a kindred spirit in each other, due to our similar warrior character. Jaren deeply understood my pride as a warrior, and my fixation on an honorable death. For this, Jaren and I made a solemn oath to ensure that each of us would meet a death of honor. After peace had returned to the lands between, I encountered a special individual, my half-brother, Miquella the Blessed. Miquella was cursed with eternal youth, yet he possessed an irresistible charm and unfathomable wisdom. The then very young Miquella was drawn to my strength and kindness. He seemed to see in me the potential of an ideal monarch, believing me to be the promised king who could assist him in ushering in an era of inclusivity. Miquella once said to me in a gentle yet somewhat bewitching voice,
Lord brother, I'm going to be a god. If we honor our part of the vow, promise me you'll be my consort. I'll make the world a gentler place.
Miquella's words left me perplexed, even slightly uneasy. The future he depicted, though beautiful, also carried an indescribable sense of constraint. I have forgotten my exact response then. Was it a polite acquiescence? Or was I influenced by Miquella's unique charisma to make some vague commitment? My memory has become mottled. I can only recall fragments. That promise, like an invisible mark, quietly merged into my destiny. All tranquility vanished on that day. The death of Godwyn the Golden became the spark that ignited all chaos. The Elden Ring shattered. The great runes scattered. The lands between, deprived of the Eternal Queen's rule, plunged into unprecedented turmoil. As one of the demigod relatives holding a great rune, I too was drawn into this shattering war for the throne. I had no craving to become Elden Lord. I simply wished to enter the Erd Tree to find my father Radagon, to ask him why he had abandoned Carrion and my mother, to ask him what had caused all this chaos. But the defenders of Leyndell, the royal capital, refused all audience. They even regarded me as a plunderer, believing me to be another traitor seeking to seize the throne amidst the chaos. Faced with this, I had no choice but to lead my valiant Redmane Legion, forming a monarchical alliance with several other demigods of dubious intent, and march upon Leyndell. However, the capital's resistance far exceeded my expectations. Guarding it was not some golden lineage noble I had anticipated, but an entity that should have been reviled, forgotten. My half-brother, Margit, the fell omen, relying on his loyalty to the Golden Order and his indomitable will, he repelled our assaults time and again. I battled him within the city, yet could never breach his defenses. His power was filled with resentment towards us, traitors, and an obsessive desire to protect the Golden Dynasty. Ultimately, I was defeated by him, defeated by an omen I had never taken seriously. The Redmane Legion suffered grievous losses. I was forced to withdraw my remaining forces to Caelid to regroup. The fires of the shattering war continued to burn. Various demigods clashed with one another, vying for the great runes. It was at this juncture that Miquella's twin sister, Millennia, the supremely skilled and undefeated swordswoman, suddenly led her army south, pressing straight for the territory of Caelid. Why had she come? Was it to seize a great rune? To strengthen her hand in the shattering? Or was it to fulfill that so-called promise on behalf of her brother Miquella? Whatever her motive, any enemy daring to invade the lands of Caelid would be met with my fiercest counterattack. On the desolate plains of Ionia in Caelid, Millennia and I waged a world-shaking war. The warriors of the Redmane Legion fought a bloody battle against Millennia's Cleanrot Knights. Both sides exhausted their strength, yet we remained deadlocked. At this stalemate, Millennia and I engaged in a decisive duel. I stood before her, waiting for her to affix her prosthesis. My body trembled in anticipation of the battle to come. This was precisely what I had yearned for, a duel between the mightiest demigod and the strongest swordswoman. Yet Millennia's demeanor disappointed me. She seemed to have no heart for the fight, making no attempt to evade my attacks. I severed her prosthetic arm, yet Millennia, fearless of death, charged towards me, and with the blade in her hand, impaled us both. Millennia leaned down and whispered in my ear,
Miquella awaits thee, O promised consort.
Then she pulled out the golden needle that suppressed the scarlet rot within her body, and, upon my back, bloomed a colossal flower of scarlet rot.
The potent miasma of rot swept across all of Caelid like a plague. Soldiers, creatures, even the environment itself mutated under this power. I could feel the terror of that force, a power that bypassed armor to directly corrode flesh and soul, shocking me to my core. More terrifying still, my consciousness began to blur. Madness surged into my mind like a tide. The strength I prided myself on now seemed so feeble. After unleashing this forbidden power, Millennia fell into a stupor and was desperately carried from the battlefield by her Cleanrot Knights. As for me, I resisted the encroaching rot with the power of my great rune. In the final moment, before my consciousness dissipated, I issued my last commands to the Redmane Legion. I ordered them to build a wall of smoldering flame to halt the spread of the scarlet rot, and to construct the war-dead catacombs, to console the spirits of the valiant warriors from both sides who had fallen on the battlefield. After this, my sanity gradually eroded. The hero's glory and the warrior's pride were now naught but endless pain and madness. Accompanied by my beloved horse Leonard, I wandered aimlessly across the wasteland, letting the sands wear away at my feet. I was no longer that renowned star-scourged general, but a beast roaming Caelid, devouring corpses. Former comrades in arms, past enemies all became mere flesh to sate my hunger in my eyes. Like a wild dog, I scavenged the battlefield for decaying bodies. My dear friend Jaren witnessed my tragic plight. He could not bear to see me languish forever in such a wretched state. To fulfill the oath between us, and also to grant me the honorable end a warrior deserved, he decided to hold a grand combat festival in Caelid. Jaren sent out calls to heroes far and wide, summoning all dauntless warriors of the lands between to Redmane Castle to challenge me in my madness. When the stars filled the sky, when the pre-battle cries echoed from Redmane Castle, the festival of combat began. The wailing dunes of Caelid became my final battlefield. Countless figures surged towards me. Among them were my dear friend Jaren, my old acquaintance Blade, and many unfamiliar heroes. A warrior's instinct drove me to fight. I wielded my twin Star-Scourge greatswords, each swing stirring up dust, each roar invoking gravity. I became a burning meteor, descending from the heavens, vowing to crush everything before me. And among the many challengers, one tarnished stood out. There was no fear in his eyes, only steadfast resolve. Finally, after a long battle, I at last fell before these many heroes. Madness and rot receded from my body. I felt a long-lost serenity, a liberating peace. With my fall, the stars I had sealed and bound finally broke free from their shackles, resuming their orbits. My death it seemed, also became the catalyst for others' fates to turn. And I, Radon the Starscourge, finally met a glorious end in the manner of a warrior. At least in that moment, that is what I believed. However, death was far from the end of my destiny. My soul did not return to the Erd Tree as I had expected, nor did it find true rest. A mysterious force pulled me, taking me to a hidden place called the Land of Shadow. Here, I once again sensed Miquella's presence. His pure yet subtly unsettling power enveloped this land. My damaged soul was also captured by him and forcibly injected into a new shell the remains of my half-brother Moog, Lord of Blood. I became Radon, King of the Promise. This body returned my strength to the peak of my youth. I was clad in splendid armor, wielding my familiar twin swords, standing guard before the divine gate deep within the Land of Shadow. My sanity seemed somewhat restored. I was no longer the mad beast of Caelid, but I could also clearly feel that my will was not entirely my own. I seemed to have become a pawn for Miquella to realize his grand plan. A king without a soul. Was this the fulfillment of the promise, or another form of imprisonment? I could no longer tell. Fate is always so coincidental. The Tarnished who had granted me death at the combat festival also arrived in this Land of Shadow, following Miquella's footsteps. Before the Divine Gate, we engaged each other in a final, decisive battle. Only this time, I could savor the fight in my peak condition. The Tarnished was as indomitable as ever, as powerful as ever. Under his assault, I gradually showed signs of fatigue. Yet, just as I prepared to rise and fight again, Miquella, in the form of a god, stepped through the Divine Gate and merged with me. As the sacred power surged into my body, my consciousness was utterly subsumed by Miquella. The memory of the battle became hazy. I only vaguely recall it was a contest where everything was at stake. Ultimately, Miquella and I were defeated together by the Tarnished. This time, I felt the invisible thread deep within my soul finally break. Miquella's will no longer bound me. The embers of scarlet rot completely vanished. An unprecedented sense of lightness enveloped me. I, Radon, son of the hero Radagon, and Queen Rennala of the Full Moon, the red-maned lion born for battle. My long and tragic life finally came to an end at this moment. This time, the falling star, perhaps, has truly fallen. I do not know if true tranquility awaits me, but at least I am no longer manipulated by anyone, no longer tormented by any curse. I fought as a warrior until the very last moment. Perhaps this is the best ending I could have hoped for.